Okay. What is this?
Lance and Mike, we were supposed to, the last time y'all were here, we discussed Ethan Klein versus Hasan before, when it was just the content nuke. The content nuke had come out. Now, since we have a content cop from iDubbbz, and then we have a response from Ethan Klein. But I know that David and Binder probably barely know any of this, and for the audience, so one of you should give a background on this drama.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if most people would understand that sentence.
Right, I was like, Lance, you're going to explain all of that.
I need a little
Mike,
refresher. I know that that Ethan has basically kind of just been crashing out and going obsessively talking about Hasan. I know that he tagged me in some things and thinks I'm an anti-Semite. I mean,
she probably just does hate Jewish people, but she's just crazy cringe. I can talk now or Friday. I don't care. Up to you. Please don't try to bring a bad person on because I will get banned. I'll have to leave the conversation. Dude, holy shit. He's so petrified. I imagine that the delusion that Hasan has fed to his audience about, me being a dipshit or him being so much smarter and well-educated on all these issues, it would probably be really brutal. He would probably kill himself if he got critically challenged by me in any of these conversations, because it would be over. What is this? Wait, let me listen to this first.
What else
I
is
did
new?
see your face on. You know what?
Yeah.
I did see, and I was like, "What happened to? How am I getting?" It was so random.
It's just the idea, because I'm anti-Zionist, because I criticize the genocide in Palestine, and because we are friends with Hasan. I think that he seems to be addicted to attention, addicted to responding to things, addicted to being outraged, and addicted to some other things. I wouldn't be shocked.
It's a victim complex.
And they're calling him a drug addict too? Holy shit, what the fuck? Emma, are you okay? I know she's not, because she's one of the most disgusting people in media right now.
Things, addicted to being outraged, and addicted to some other things. I wouldn't be shocked.
It's a victim complex.
He doesn't seem well.
He doesn't seem well.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he
There we
does,
go.
I
Yes,
think he
queen.
and Sam are going to have a conversation. He had said previously that he thought that was... So he had said to Hasan, this is what I know, that Hasan could never understand because he's not a Jewish person. And Hasan had said, okay,
Still lying about this perspective, but okay.
hey, then perhaps you could have a conversation with an anti-Zionist Jewish person, and has floated Sam. In response to that, Ethan has said that that's tokenism. So it begs the question, if you can't talk to
Not begs the question, it raises the question, but...
an anti-Zionist Jew, and that's tokenism, but you can't talk to an anti-Zionist Gentile or a non-Jew about that ideology, then who can you talk to other than
Jesus
Zionists, which I should
Christ.
say includes Christian Zionists. Biden called himself a Zionist. Zionism is an ideology that crosses religion. Now, there are Jewish Zionists, right? But in terms of numbers in this country, the entire Republican Party is filled with Christian Zionists. The majority of the Republican Party, the elected Republicans, are Christians, and they are Zionists. So from a numbers perspective, Zionists, there are more Christian Zionists in this country than there are Jewish Zionists.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The constant
joke.
conflation of those things, I think, is obviously misinformation, but it seems to be something that he's struggling with, so he's lashing out at everybody else, and I don't know. That's
To
my
me-
understanding of what's happened.
My read on it, because I followed Ethan Klein for years, I was a really big fan. I even have Teddy Fresh merch. I bought their
Wow.
shit.
I don't get it. For someone who's, what is the appeal? I don't get how they got famous. I don't get the
who's
deal with their
Fresh?
show. I don't get.
That's their merch company. They were early adopters of YouTube who were doing edgelord, aka racist sketches, and that stuff was viral gold back then. It was the same generation as iDubbbz and Filthy Frank, who became Joji, and all these other people now, for better or for worse, who don't have the same careers that they used to, and now they're struggling with trying to do modern politics. When that
Are they struggling, though? It's such a disingenuous framing. Also, this is the serfs. I actually think that... I don't know if this is legal, the fact that they're even broadcasting this, because I'm pretty sure that the Serfs TV Alliance, I think, is super mentally handicapped, and I don't know if it's actually right that they're making money off of having him on this show, unless they've signed something for this, but...
they used to just be entertainers. They're not people who study or analyze news and politics. They're just people who were doing racism on the internet back in the day and got famous.
Well, his thing was that he was kind of like the one person on the internet.
On the internet. So they used to just be entertainers who don't have this. It was the same generation as iDubbbz and Filthy Frank, who became Joji,
They did
and
say
that
iDubbbz.
used to just they used to just be entertainers. They're not people who study or analyze news and politics. They're just people who were doing racism on the internet back in the day and got famous.
Well, his thing was that he was kind of like the one person on the internet that was shitting on other shitty internet personalities. Remember Ty Lopez, that
now
ad
he
that everybody
is
hated,
the
Here in My
shitty
Garage? He would shit
internet
on him. It was
personality.
really funny. He'd talk about these people that were ridiculous, like these pranksters on the internet who would try to hit on girls, and just like it was very like relatable. And then he went through these different phases where he was a little bit reactionary after starting his podcast. I remember him debating with his producers on whether or not billionaires should exist. So I've gone in and out, but largely I really ended up liking Ethan Klein, especially like during the pandemic, during his podcast with Trisha and Hasan, because he's just a human. Like, he tries to better himself. He admits where he was wrong. He platformed Jordan Peterson. He tried to right that wrong. To me, what I get from the Hasan thing is just straight up grievance politics. Like, even though certainly it's about Israel.
That's in the water these days.
Right. That's exactly it. I mean, certainly he's sensitive about this because his wife is Israeli. He lived in Israel. So there's that element.
There's no logical reason for him to believe any of these things. He's just a retarded fucking Jew who his wife is Jewish. And it's just like, obviously he's so fucking retarded. He can't possibly have a reasonable opinion. And it's just like him being a retard and, because he's retarded. And
of course, but it's also grievance politics where he kind of feels wronged by Hasan because over the course of the last couple of years, he's really built up a progressive audience.
What do you think is the reason why everyone seems to be disregarding the moral part of releasing the people that were involved in October 7th? Arabs are animals to these people. They're just like cute little animals that are meant to be used as weapons of political warfare. Arabs or Palestinians have no agency. They're just like white women. They're basically just pawns to be shuffled around a board to either be victims of other people or victims of their own action. You can never, ever, ever ascribe any amount of agency to any minority group that is being oppressed by any other group ever. So Arabs will rape and murder because they have to. Women will do whatever retarded shit because they have to. They treat all of them as retarded children with absolutely no agency, and all of the agency is always given to the other side, regardless of any circumstances. That's just how it always goes with these people all the time.
Debating transphobes, and he's shitting on the right regularly with Hasan. So
even the way that Sam Guzzler was so inconspicuously talking about the fact that, like, oh yeah, well, they probably captured a whole bunch of hostages because they figured that after they did their mass rapes and their mass murders and their huge terrorist attack, that afterwards they could just, negotiate the hostages back and there wouldn't be a war. Like, the fact that he just says that, like, so calmly, like, okay, that's pretty crazy. You're justifying basically hostage taking in order to perpetuate terrorist attacks based, I guess. Okay.
Then when all of a sudden you have this audience and they turn on you like that, and they're not taking your side, that's hard to reckon with. So rather than realizing that this audience that he had built up didn't like the Zionist talking points that he was using, didn't like, referring to Jewish Voice for Peace.
This is such an unbelievable retelling of how Hasan is the one that poisoned this audience so much. That's so crazy. My God.
Capos. Rather than just reckoning with what he said, he blamed Hasan for it. He's the one who turned the audience against me. And I think that grudge has just kind of festered and whatnot. And even like during, I think, the first podcast episode of Leftovers, his podcast with Hasan after October 7th, they had a good conversation. Ethan cried, talking about the, footage from Gaza and whatnot. And even though he wasn't great, he was open to listening and whatnot. And just with time, you can tell that the pettiness, this grudge against Hasan really built up. This is how I see it, like, as somebody who's a former fan. And now it's just he's on a warpath, and Hasan is basically like this guy who's controlling all the puppet strings of everybody else who's attacking him.
Can I ask, what was the breaking point with him and Hasan? Because I watched their podcast and I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed seeing that interaction. That was pretty good.
It was October 7th.
Yeah.
They started having to discuss, obviously, like the rest of, everybody was talking about, what was taking place. They started having to have discussions about it, and they would find a lot of friction points. And so they took a break for a little while. And then after they took a break, they eventually had a couple of like public fights just being on their live streams individually. They weren't doing the show together. And then those public fights evolved into basically like the show's not going to be around anymore.
In particular, his issue with Hasan during those debates was that Hasan wasn't controlling his audience, because Ethan Klein would say something that's really insensitive and quite frankly racist, and he was mad that Hasan as a friend wasn't defending him and letting the audience kind of run roughshod, right? So that's the crux of his anger with Hasan. That's the beginning of it.
But that is just like, I'm sorry, we are in the political debate space, and the audience is going to react how they're going to react. Like,
on an issue like this.
Yeah, and if you're going to wade into politics, do so, but be ready to deal with the consequences of this. Because what I'm seeing from him, based on, again, I'm not super deep.
If you're going to wade into politics, be ready to deal with the consequences of this. You would never ever use this for any other person, right? Yeah, men are being sexist to you online. No fucking shit. You're entering a world where there's a whole bunch of men that are involved in this, and men tend to be sexist versus women in their space. Of course they're gonna be sexist. Why are you complaining about this? Like, you would never use. It's so crazy that harassment or insane amounts of like just horrible, evil shit people can do to you is acceptable because that's like part of what happens. And like, Jesus Christ.
Into this, but I do know enough to get, and that's what I did just lay out for you. But it's also reflected in my experience with liberal Zionists, Jewish and non-Jewish, in my personal life, where there has been a bit of a fork in the road, where there are some people that have self-reflected on perhaps their reflexive view of Israel as this moral democracy in the Middle East, and being moral by default, frankly, because often democracy and morality are used to speak about like Western civilization and Western values to besmirch folks in the global South or in the Middle East as barbarians and not cosmopolitan like the rest of us. That there have been some people that have reflected on that, because it's very easy, I think, for some liberals to be anti-racist within the domestic context, because that's very much within acceptable thought, and it's about who you align yourself with. It's about supporting the Democratic Party, and so you don't necessarily have to do any anti-racist work because you think by default, because of your political affiliation.
Just as a reminder, in case you're not aware of this, anti-racism is slang for I'm about to say the dumbest shit you've ever heard in your entire fucking life. It's not enough to be bisexual, you have to be pansexual. Okay, it's not enough to be it's not enough to fight for equality. We have to talk about equity all the time. It's not enough to be against racism. You have to be anti-racist. It's like anytime somebody says anti-racism, that's a dog whistle for that should perk up to like, oh shit, I'm about to get some crazy shit from this person. Okay.
That should absolve you of things. But some people have done the work, liberal Zionists, and they've changed their perspective. Others that I've seen have gone the opposite direction.
That's Ethan.
Where because it's become so emotional for them,
Oh,
because
for sure.
it flies in the face of their own self-conception that I am anti-racist by default. One, if they're a Jewish Zionist because they've experienced the horrors of the Holocaust, and because all the suffering has to have built up an anti-racist, anti-genocide cachet in me, and instead of self-reflecting, or cash, or I forget how you say it, instead of self-reflecting, I'm going to say that everybody else is wrong. And it seems like he's in that other bucket, which is just not...
This is also what I mean too. Remember, okay, the reason why we learn so much about the Holocaust is because Jews have been in control of the education system for so long, and Jewish people like to wave the Holocaust in front of us as some horrible evil that could never happen or has never happened anywhere else, just so that they can constantly do horrible stuff to society without us being able to question them. I like that she has kind of like arrived naturally at this kind of like neo-Nazi talking point, right? Like, oh yeah, so they figure because the Holocaust is so bad and we learn about it so much, they get everything, blah, blah. It's like that is a super big neo-Nazi talking point. That's one of the reasons why neo-Nazis will try to downplay the Holocaust or upplay some of the other atrocities that happened in World War II to make it so the Holocaust didn't seem exceptionally bad, and then they will harp on the fact that we learned so much about the Holocaust, and the reason why is so that Jews are beyond question or beyond reproach. You know, why are there so many Jews that control our media, that control our banking system, why are we so beholden to Israel's interests in the Middle East when it's a relatively small country? Well, we can't talk about that because they want to talk to us about the Holocaust. Always the Holocaust, right? Cute.
Interesting in any real way, because they're going to be dinosaurs at a certain point. Right now, a majority public opinion in this country is negative about Israel. There was polling done, I think it was by Gallup or Pew, but I think it's Pew off the top of my head.
Yeah, I didn't know Emma was based. True.
53%, over 50% of people in this country now have a negative view of Israel. 50% of Republicans age 18 to 49 have a negative view of Israel. Not anybody older than that in the Republican Party, but that has shifted by double-digit points over the course of this genocide. For Democrats, the majority opinion is now negative view of Israel. And for Democrats under, thank you very much for pulling it up. I think it's like, we've cited this so often, I think it is like the third or fourth graph here. So if you want to scroll down, here you go. So yeah, so among U.S. adults, 53% now have a negative view of Israel. Look at that shift from 2022.
We're finally winning against the Zoggers.
I mean, lean Democrats, 71%, 18 to 49, negative view of Israel. 69% of Democrats, lean Democrats overall. And that shift with Republicans is massive as well. So, like, this is the tide that this dude is fighting against. And eventually, when you fight against the tide, you tire yourself out treading water. And that's what it seems like the stage that he's at right now. So,
yeah, I think like a lot of this just goes into, the world has been watching like a Holocaust play out on their phones, right? So it's not a surprise that a large percentage of the population is suddenly rejecting the idea that this is okay. I think in this story, something that is important that I think we might miss out on is that Ethan actually was a groundbreaker on YouTube for fair use, right? In that he was sued for somebody for his speech, right?
And now Ethan wants to sue a bunch of people just for exercising their speech, guys. Yes. I'll bring up every snarker talking point. Yes. Yes.
Because he was criticizing another YouTuber, he ended up winning a really important court case that really set a standard for people saying that you can criticize.
Have you seen Slavoj Žižek's explanation on why white liberals love identity politics? He talks about the same things you may... Zizek is a guy who can say either the dumbest shit in the world, but it usually has a point, or genuinely insightful stuff. I feel like Zizek is like if Mr. Girl wasn't as fucking crazy, but did philosophy. I go back and forth on Zizek, but I haven't in a while, actually. I feel like he's based. That's where I'm at right now. I feel like he's based, but...
criticize people, and use their clips even when you're criticizing them, which is the basis for everyone on this panel, I think's, work. Like, we'll watch Tim Pool videos or stuff like that. He is now actively suing Noah Samson, who's a big YouTuber, simply for making a video saying that this, a lot of the work that he's been doing is apologia for genocide. What? And so he's saying, well, that's defamation. You've defamed me. I've never once endorsed Israel's genocide. I've never said that out loud, and I've never said that sentence. So now he's trying to do the exact opposite thing, the opposite direction, right? Which is to silence critics simply because he disagrees with what they're criticizing him for.
I remember him being the hero on the internet for that fair use case. It was huge. And everybody was against Matt Haas, who was the guy who was suing him for copyright infringement, I believe. I'm not sure, but that's how basically it established, yes, that fair use is acceptable on YouTube. And now not only is he going in the opposite direction, like he's been sued for defamation as well. He's been in this years-long lawsuit against Ryan Kavanaugh of Triller because he originally used like a 10-second clip, I think, of a Jake Paul fight for his podcast, and then he started talking shit about him, so it kind of morphed into a defamation suit. So he is basically, he used to be this person who was like the guy everybody really respected. He created this fund, the FUPA fund, for anybody else, fair use public funders, I don't remember, or public account. And so that way if other smaller creators were getting sued, they can help. He could help them. And now he's filing DMCA claims against people who just post clips on Reddit.
Gross.
He's threatening defamation lawsuits left and right.
Gross.
He's become
he's closing subreddits down. They're critical of him
right.
as well.
He's become everything that he used to stand against, and
Has
he
the
can't
hypocrisy been brought up
understand.
to him?
Unbelievable.
Has the hypocrisy been brought up to him? Does he not register what's happening?
No,
to
because
him?
right now he's in a bubble. His staff is too afraid to confront him very clearly because they're all very left-leaning. Like two of his staffers are Lebanese, and so they don't agree. His staff.
I love that. Wait, did I misunderstand what he just said there? They're Lebanese, so obviously, as a white guy who literally knows fuck all about any of this conflict, they're Lebanese, so obviously they're going to disagree with either. Right? Did he just wait? Am I missing something there, or did he just like racially essentialize their political positions? What the fuck?
Has the hypocrisy been brought up to him? Does he not register what's happening?
No,
to
because
him?
right now he's in a bubble. His staff is too afraid to confront him very clearly because they're all very left-leaning. Like two of his staffers are Lebanese, and so they don't agree. His staff. I mean, his producer Dan is a
It's
socialist.
like a very difficult work environment.
It's you can tell. Like there was a
Oh
clip
my
which was shocking because I stopped
Kill
watching
me,
after the
dude.
Leftovers podcast, and then I came back and the first episode back. Actually, I didn't see the episode, but I saw the clip because it was in a members only, where he was making fun of Aaron Bushnell, and that to me, I'm like, okay, I can't do it because he's not reading the room. He's making fun of somebody who's self-immolated for very serious reasons, and rather than like speaking to that with the gravity or not speaking about it at all, he made fun of him and then shit on people for getting mad. But like, I forgot where I was going before Aaron Bushnell because
well, what I was gonna say is, it's stupid of him to sue for defamation. It's stupid of him to sue for defamation. Just period. Defamation is a damn near impossible thing to win, especially as a public figure who is like intentionally thrusting themselves into the public discourse. I think that probably has that connects to the larger problem that I think makes me less sympathetic to Ethan. I'm always trying. I'm in the season of my life where I try to be sensitive and look at things in the light most favorable to the like aggrieved party, the person who's very upset and spiraling because of the internet. Because I understand like the internet and communities and everything can like overwhelm you, and years of that make you lose your fucking mind. So I try to be considerate as somebody who I know is sensitive to internet. I just want to be a hypocrite. Like everybody knows I can't stand how the internet carries on, so I don't want to be always caring about my feelings, and then when other people are mad about the internet, I'm like, fuck you. So I try. I'm telling you, I've tried to look at the evidence in the light most favorable to Ethan. I've tried, and especially considering like I'm cool with Hasan, and I'm also cool with iDubbbz, which is I think what took me over the edge and realizing Ethan's wildin'. But I think the thing I understand having what makes it less sympathetic for Ethan is I understand having a bad take or a take that the internet doesn't support, and you can't divorce yourself from that take. You just can't bring yourself to change that position or argue otherwise because the internet. So usually I think what the correct response to do with that, especially if you don't like how some people are fine with outrage. You don't mind if everybody's fucking mad at them. They don't care if everybody hates them as long as it's getting the views and the attention or whatever. But for Ethan, he clearly does have a problem with people being mad at him. It doesn't matter how they're perceiving him. It's not enough of the views and stuff because he's still getting that. So clearly, to me, when if I don't like the internet, I know the internet is going to jump me for something. I know it, or they've jumped me in already, so I know now. Maybe I didn't know it first, but I know now, and I don't want to be jumped. I usually stay away from that. I probably wouldn't spend like the next year and some change talking about every fucking chance I got.
He seeks it out. Every single tweet that somebody makes, he seeks it out.
Like
it's crazy.
Hasan said he did?
I did one video on Ethan Klein. I have many videos defending Ethan Klein. I was talking about him debating a transphobe. I did one video criticizing him, comparing his crash out to the TYT crash out, and he never responded to that. But somebody else on the internet streamed my reaction, and they were shitting on it. And Ethan Klein never responded to me, but he sent that guy a bunch of Teddy Fresh bursts. It is the funniest shit ever, the most passive aggressive shit.
I like that.
That's hilarious as fuck.
I said to say it like that kind of petty. I want to say I understand and watching iDubbbz video because whose name is Ian? Ian was talking about essentially that he just wanted to stay the fuck out of it. This beef has been going on for more than a year. He and Ethan has forced him to have to respond by bringing him and his wife's name into it because they're mad that they feel like they're not speaking out against him and that they're friends with people that don't fuck with them. Now I'll say this, even with like watching Ian's video and seeing where like Ethan is wrong. I think the thing is Ethan's content nuke and how Ethan presents things when Ethan is talking, he makes it seem as though he is off just saying like reason. If you watch Ethan's content nuke in a vacuum, which I did at first, I don't know what the fuck these people are going on, all this larger drama, it would seem like Ethan is somebody who's like, okay, I understand that the genocide is bad, but also I believe in a two-state, you know what I mean? I want Israel to be, and then everybody's just jumping him and kicking his back in, which when you see the larger and you see other people's videos, you realize that is not the case. Ethan is constantly doing podcasts and videos and attacking people and calling people stupid and all this and the next thing. So he's not this like victim the way that he's making it seem. That being said, I do understand if you're friends with creators or content creators, as I saw when Ethan did his response to Ian's content cop, he was pointing like showing how these specific people, were talking crazy shit about him and Ethan and them are following him. People, I understand that on a human level of being like, I see this, a bunch of people are kicking my fucking back, and there are some people, certainly there's bulk people that are valid, and there's some people who are going beyond the pale and making personal attacks on my children and all this and the next thing, and you're not distancing yourself from them, so I don't fuck with you. I get that. I can understand on a passive aggressive, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't deal with you. But that's an entirely different thing. I don't deal with you. I notice this and I'm personally offended or I feel some kind of way quietly versus let me now make content about you and like have millions of people on the internet talking shit about you and making you a villain and doing this larger thing. So I try to look at it. I try to be on. I try to be sensitive.
Meanwhile, Ethan makes a content cop about you. Okay, Chief.
Let me just say that, like, I've been in a similar situation, and TYT just came up, but with Anna Kasparian, where I had a personal friendship with her, but I disagreed a lot with how she was acting, right? And I wish I had, and I said this to you privately, but I wish that I had maybe come to this realization a little bit sooner, because obviously she has deep like some pretty anti-black racist issues, specifically with black women. I think that informed the way that she talked about Kamala Harris, based on what I've seen with this like incredible vitriol that makes no sense, given the fact that like aren't they kind of tough on crime centrist now, which is basically her whole brand.
I know.
And I noticed that misogynoir or racism, right? And I didn't speak up about it because I wanted to give her an opportunity to come back into the fold, right? But that's also leaving people like you out on a limb, and that's part of the problem with this space. And Ethan's not fully a part of it, but like it's too white to represent the progressive movement, and I think that's where there's some disconnect, right, with the online. It's too white to represent the progressive movement, and I think that's where there's some disconnect, right, with the online left and with leftist organizing, which is not super white. But in part, like I was able to do this job because I was in a privileged position in my life, right, where I could engage in political thought, and I was thinking about politics, like starting at age 10 or 11, and engaging in these ideas and kind of understanding that this is part of my passion or whatever. And there are a lot of people like that, but like, why am I getting elevated? In part because of my whiteness, etc. So I think that part of creating a more inclusive space is also backing up some of the lone non-white voices in our community. Because I do I love Chapo Trap House and all those guys like a lot, but I do think like the sardonic quality sometimes puts off women and people of color who the satire has its place, but for particularly people of color, these are very real, tangible experiences. When there's a reason that black people vote overwhelmingly for the Democrats, is because they may not think the Democrats are perfect, but they also know what happens when there are Republicans in power. And I do think that our analysis would benefit from taking those concerns like incredibly seriously and not being snide about it, because it's a turnoff, and we should be melding the progressive media space with the organizing space, and that's where we have this gulf, in my view. And it's a bit.
Can I add a little thing?
Sure.
Because specifically to this,
what do you got, Lance?
You just mentioned the names of a lot of these things that for people not familiar with the internet, it might sound weird. Content nuke, content cop, all this kind of stuff. The thing here is that Ethan is doing what he would have done when he battled anyone else in the past, or anyone else battles in the realm of internet drama, while the backdrop of all of this is surrounding a genocide. So it's one thing to have done like content or these kind of takedowns of the.
By the way, Lance was defending the victims of another genocide in Canada, Indigenous peoples, and in that debate, he literally knew absolutely fucking nothing. He used the entire debate to just sit there for an hour and a half and nod along while he got absolutely fucking trash, and then went on some fucking soy rant at the end, and then left. But thank you for treating these issues so seriously.
Creators, when what you're going to be talking about is like, oh, maybe I had a bad take or I did something wrong.
Right.
Like Ethan and Hila at one point were saying that Yoav Gallant was a good guy.
Yeah. And the same lies. Yes. King.
Has an ICC warrant against him, by the way.
King.
Yes.
He's
a really good guy. As everyone tries to parse this all as internet drama, this is also all surrounding just these horrifying atrocities. So it's so hard to sit there and be like, well, he's gonna have a couple bad takes, sure, but come around at the end.
I think you're honing on a really good point, or something that I think about all the time. The reason that people are receiving it as internet drama is because so often the people that we are looking to and allowing to talk about and make their like flagship stuff on their platform and create content about are not serious. Like I said earlier, these are not political people. These are not people who analyze this or who study it. These are creators. When you think about who Americans are listening to and who they want to call it as the podcast, and who they listen to and who influence them on the election, you Joe Rogan, comedians, podcast people. You know what I mean? And like, so to me, it's like we've already allowed a much larger culture of where these people are allowed to take serious issues and things and just use it for fodder. And which another thing I wanted to say earlier when we brought up why so many people had liked Ethan before, seeing him as a good guy on this right side of things because of fair use. I have noticed a consistent trend on problematic white people somehow slipping by because they in some way were free speech champions. And I'm so tired of that, which is so obviously and often personally motivated by their desire to want to say whatever the fuck they want.
Slurs.
Some true white shit. And taking that to me and that anything else is true. You know what I mean? I'm so tired. Every fucking time a problematic white person is on the chopping block and I go, hey, how'd this happen? How'd y'all end up a big fan? And then they be like, well, in the 2010s or the early 2000s, big free speech guy. And I'd be like, y'all seeing anything? Is anything adding up for us?
It's a tale all the time. Older white person who was like more relevant, gets a little bit of money, and then it's all the kids that are wrong. And
Hi, what's up, babe?
Hey, yo. What did you watch the Ethan Sam Seder debate?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It was, I guess, about what I expected. It's kind of sad, I think. Ethan tried his best, but Sam Seder'd his thing. I don't think anybody came away with their mind changed very much, probably. But the problem is to wrestle with people like Sam Seder, you would need to know so much in terms of like random historical stuff. And Ethan knew more than I thought he would, but it's hard to have a control or a command and control of like all of the different aspects of it, I guess, yeah. Of like the history of Israel and Palestine and the history specifically of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But I think he did as well.
I was surprised that he didn't know as much. Like, he didn't know about the the fact that they were trying to destroy the fence at the March of Return.
I mean, no,
I feel like that's something that...
Ethan said something. He said that he hinted that it wasn't all peaceful, but Sam played a tricky conservative game there and was like, "Oh, really? I didn't know that." And then they just had to move on from it because Sam Seder said he didn't know about any violence happening.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm surprised that Sam didn't know about the.
Oh, Sam doesn't know anything about.
Return.
He doesn't know anything about the conflict. He doesn't give a fuck. All he knows is America bad, and then by extension, Israel bad.
Oh, I thought you were saying that you were surprised that he knew as much as he did. Were you talking about Ethan?
Did I misspeak? I mix my Jews up sometimes. Sorry, I was surprised that Ethan.
Maybe I misheard it.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. I was actually surprised that Ethan was as defensive of Israel, because I feel like it didn't do him any favors. I feel like one of the things that's really been beneficial to him for a long time is the fact that he is never really like supportive of Israel or defending them very much. He's more so calling out Hasan for his rhetoric and the way that him and the leftists talk about Israel and talk about Palestinian issues.
I mean, I don't think he was trying necessarily to be very defensive of it. It's just, it's difficult when one side is literally gaslighting the fuck out of you on anti-Semitic shit and saying things that are really truly like racially essentialist comments, and then you have to pretend that they're not, right? When people are saying, when Sam Seder is saying things like, "Oh, I can't imagine why Israelis hate Palestinians. It must just be because Zionists are racist, and that's it." Well, of course you're going to come off as defensive of Israel then if you're trying to give another explanation there. But I mean, like, what are you going to do? You know?
Yeah, the point about like what was that like anybody who's ever supported Israel shouldn't be able to walk a dog. I wish Ethan had pushed a lot harder on actually showing him clips of Hasan, because isn't that like that's
not, but Ethan did give a fuck about that
right after the October 7th massacre when he was on that
but
podcast.
Ethan wasn't there to litigate their personal drama, and I think Ethan basically made that clear. He didn't really give a fuck about that at all.
Sam.
Sorry, Sam.
Okay, you
didn't
did
care
do
about
it.
that.
Yeah,
okay,
Sam.
my bad. Yeah, Sam didn't care at all about the personal drama stuff. He wasn't there to talk about it.
Which is kind of bullshit because he's being a big Hasan supporter.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that if that was the entire like thing about their beef, it's not about like differences on Israel-Palestine as much. It is about the way that Hasan talks about these things. So I wish Ethan had pushed on that a little bit more to say, well, I mean, you were suggested to do this by Hasan, and Hasan's issue with me isn't over like the Israel-Palestine war, but it's more so over the way that he talks about Zionists and the way that he talks about anybody who says anything defensive of Israel whatsoever, or anyone who says anything against Hamas whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, but Sam just didn't seem interested in having that conversation.
Because that's why, as a Jewish man, right? Isn't that the whole idea? He's the Jewish guy who's supposed to be able to come and talk about what is or isn't.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that just seemed to be the case. He just didn't seem to have any interest in having that conversation. I think he should have, but...
He's a pick-me.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know if he's a pick-me, because I don't even think the two of them actually like disagree as much. I think that I think that both of them are coming at it from different sides, where lots of times
there's a clear
about the Israel-Palestine issue.
I think you got to be careful about that.
I don't think through in that conversation.
You have to be careful about they don't actually disagree, because it seems like they don't disagree because the positions, I think, of people like Sam Seder are actually a lot more radical than it seems. They're just like very cagey about it.
That's how I feel a lot of times, but it's hard to tell, because especially
it's hard to tell because nobody actually
seems to like.
It's hard to tell because nobody asks the right questions. You don't really drill into any of it as much. But like if you were to ask these people, the easiest question is to say, what is the solution to the problem? And when they say one state solution, and you say, okay, one state solution with Jews as an ethnic minority, they're going to say yes. And you say, okay, well, don't you think Jews might be worried about them getting genocided or kicked out like they have with every other thing in all of like Jewish history? They won't care, they won't engage, they won't give a fuck, they'll equivocate, or eventually they'll say, well, so what? They can just go to America or Europe or whatever. Like, but they never actually get pushed to that position, so they can just like virtue signal to what they think the ideal solution is, without ever having to expand upon it at all.
Yeah, like
was Sam's answer. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like even with what like the commentary Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland has made about the conflict, they were clearly from the very beginning completely and utterly against Israel conducting any sort of military action whatsoever against Hamas. Like every step of the way, they were against it. So that speaks volumes to their actual position. They literally do not think the state of Israel should exist. They think Israel should be able to experience what are essentially an endless series of 9/11 attacks, and they just have to take it. Even when Hezbollah was launching rockets days after, again, they had no problem with that. And then when Israel, a year later, finally struck back against Hezbollah, and in an extremely precise, targeted manner with those walkie-talkies or beepers or whatever the hell they were. Again, one kid died, Israel evil. So these people do not think the state of Israel should exist. Sam Seder, at best, is a pick-me, at worst, a self-hating Jew.
I feel like his answer to the question about like what should Israel have done right after October 7th? So what should they have done on October 8th? I think maybe I misunderstood his answer, but I felt like he was saying that they should have funded like insurgencies within.
I don't think
Gaza.
he said that at all.
Actually,
did I miss that, or did I? I totally missed that. If that's what he was implying.
Yeah, I missed that too.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I took from his answer, but it wasn't very clear because he was saying that they should have funded people within the country.
I don't know if he finished his answer. No, because he said in the West Bank. I think he was implying about like creating a partner for peace in the West Bank. And what he's talking about there is probably empowering the Palestinian Authority more, something like that. But I don't know if they actually got that far into that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that doesn't really have anything to do with Gaza.
Yeah, because that's a weird answer because it doesn't have anything to do with Gaza.
Well, the Young Turks do a similar thing too, right? When you ask them what should they have done, and Cenk basically says, send in special forces, which is a non-answer. It's basically like saying, you know that video game Metal Gear Solid, where Snake like took down the entire military of this one country? Why can't they just send in like Solid Snake, and then they could like use the sleep gun on everybody rather than having to kill anybody, just like in Metal Gear. Like that's basically their position. Like it's always nothing but non-answers, and it's because they can't acknowledge the fact that in any kind of warfare, you're going to have collateral damage, you're going to have civilian casualties. It's something that they can't accept when it comes to Israel. Because if Israel ever defends itself, ever protects its sovereignty, its people, that is fundamentally bad. So anytime Israel engages in any sort of ethical warfare, you always have to criticize them because they're actually defending their sovereignty, they're protecting their people. Every other country's allowed to do that, Israel can't. Like, their end goal is to just destroy Israel.
Well, and isn't like a full-on invasion actually worse than what they're currently doing? Like, if they actually sent in a bunch of
I think they kind of did a full-on invasion.
Do they have like a bunch of people in there? I thought that they were just using missiles and bombs and drones.
Well,
initially that was the opening, but they definitely did a full-on invasion after. Yeah.
So, well, I think I understand what you're saying. Like, if they only sent in ground troops, could that be worse? Yeah, presumably it could be.
Yeah, because they would have to do the same thing that they're doing in in the West Bank.
Well, it would be worse. Like, they'd have to have in a lot of armored vehicles. Like, you're going to have to level buildings regardless. And again, with the tunnel system, like, you're going to have to use high explosives. And then on top of that, you just have more troops on the ground that are going to have to shoot things that move, which may or may not be civilians. So, yeah, versus, like, targeted airstrikes, you may actually end up with more civilian casualties. And military casualties. Like, the more people you have that are Israeli in there, like, the more likelihood they are to die. So, like, why would you do that? If it doesn't benefit you strategically, causes more of your own soldiers to die, And on top of that, it can create more humanitarian issues.
All right, what do you guys want? Because I got a bunch of other shit I need to read today. What do you got?
I wanted to tell you, I watched a little bit of your coverage from yesterday from the Ethan Parker shit. You missed the most important part. Literally the thing that they're all criticizing her for. There's a part where, like, the thing that they're all calling the microaggression, that is, like, insane, like, that they would make this claim at all. The entire thing is over something that one of the girls was screaming and yelling at her, calling her like all of these like racial epithets, like called her assless, lipless, like assless bitch, like assless.
Do you have a link to this?
Yeah, I've got the link. I saved it just a second ago. Hold on, let me pull it back up because it is like the whole thing that they're all freaking out about. Okay, yeah, here. All right, that's time stamped. I just sent it to you.
Okay. All right, I'll take a look at it. Anything else?
All right. Nope. That's it.
Okay. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done too. I think Sam Seder's a hack when it comes to Israel.
Yeah. Probably agree.
I think Young Turks are just hacks in general, but yeah, I can't stand how all these lefty independent media outlets are just dishonest fucking grifting shills.
Yeah, it's pretty not cool.
But I just want you to know that I very much appreciate you, and unlike all these other jackasses, I think you do stick to your values except when it comes to veganism.
Thanks, I'm doing my best.
So one thing, I think you're a complete hypocrite because I know you're nice to cats.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
All right, well, take care.
Love you, bye. Did I miss the assless, lipless, whatever thing? I'll open this, hold on.
I think it's fucking...
Also, let me finish this thing real quick.
Bro, why can't I say what I want to say as if this is like the crown jewel of protecting our democracy? I mean, give me a break.
Remember Alex Jones getting banned off like YouTube? People were like defending him. Oh, he should be allowed to say fuck him and fuck the bullshit he's saying. It's against the terms of service. I don't want to hear him.
Nick Fuentes, you name it.
Yeah.
Right. Like the free speech culture.
And that's my thing is it's never about, I've said it all the time, we have to stop allowing them to frame what's happening. Like we always like give it's the same thing I had a problem with culture war for what is obviously just racism and white supremacy and bigotry. They're bigots. Ain't no fucking culture war, they're bigots. And same thing I have with like free speech, right? It's not this larger mission or commitment to free speech. They don't give a fuck about free speech. They're the main, all they love to do is suppress. They suppress free speech.
Locking up people for their speech right now.
Yeah. Right.
Opposing a genocide.
Yeah.
Twitter won't dream millennia tweet be seen.
And those free speech, those so-called free speech people, nowhere to be found. Where are they speaking out against the students who are getting rounded up?
Very Weiss, the free press.
Getting rounded up for an op-ed in their school paper.
Well, if they speak out about it, they're defending, the deportations of like Mahmoud Khalil, all these free speech, like the gaming space, Asmongold, say, oh yeah, fuck them, deport them. Like it's
the freedom to deport them.
It's gonna backfire so heavy. They're going after international students, which again, none of this surprises me. This is what I've been saying to people all the time. You don't think of, I was an international student. These are my exact. I said it. I've watched every like visa status I've been in come under fire this season, and everybody acted like these things only impact undocumented immigrants, yada yada yada, as though that would change it or make it any better. And I'm like, that's not the case. It's gonna be everybody. But my problem, what really bothers me about international students being attacked on a moral level, on a personal level, it bothers me so deeply. The idea you come to a country to go to school. Try to go to opportunities. They already make it impossible for international students to be able to get a work visa, to work, to actually use the degrees they let you get and make you pay exorbitantly for it. It's a painful thing. And you just have, you don't have any recourse. There's nothing. International students have just no power to challenge anything. But what really bothers me is that it's fucking stupid, beyond being wicked, because it's going to backfire. Because.
Okay, what is this?
Ridiculous for your. Disorganized. And that's when you came in and you said that.
You don't know what you're talking about.
So you know what?
Sorry.
No, how about
Sorry. Sorry.
This is exactly
my point. Go ahead, Ice, and then we're gonna. I think I got this in order.
I think it's fucking ridiculous for your. You know what? I think it's fucking ridiculous for you, a white woman, to tell me, a black woman who has done several organizations for black communities, for people of color, for houseless people, houseless youth, just the youth, about me not knowing anything about organization. I think that's fucking hilarious. As somebody who's like done exactly what you're doing, I'm telling you right now, it's incredibly disorganized. Maybe it's a short time period, and that's the reason why, but you're shit at your job.
Damn,
what I am saying, right, is on top of that, you know what, even forget everything else, because Elena brought up an excellent point. You want to come up here and you want to wank yourself off to the work that Black people, marginalized people are doing, but then at the same time, you won't even put them at the front line of your bullshit ass website.
Jesus.
Shut the fuck up. You useless ass, lipless ass, assless, loser ass bitch. Don't ever come here and talk
Based racism.
to Black people like that again. Cause a crunchy nonsense human. Anyway.
Anyway, so I'm just going to talk about why we're doing the tour, since none of y'all know how to have a proper conversation. So the reason for this spot.
Oh, did they just kick her out?
What happened?
The guys, don't skip her. I actually want to have a
Wait, no, who dropped them? I listen, I don't like that. Who dropped them?
Who did that?
It was literally her turn to go. Who dropped them?
Guys,
it was not me.
You can't ask everyone a question, Allie, while it's on Showtime, because no one can answer you.
That is true.
That was torture. What the hell?
That's true. Who dropped them?
Guys,
Can I be honest with you?
It wasn't me.
Can I have a quick one-on-one with her without anybody
wants so many people that want to talk.
We got, come on. Dang it, Riot, why did you drop them?
I didn't drop. What? I didn't do it.
Oh, I thought you said it was you.
Was what she said?
I said
I thought it wasn't me.
Wait, was what?
Okay, don't care. All right, back to the memes. What is this?
That was his big smoking gun, or that was his big smoking gun, or maybe he was going to try to bring Dan Saltman on or Destiny on in the hopes that I get banned, which I will, by the way. If Dan Saltman or
this, just to be clear, if you're a Hasan fucking loser or whatever and you're obsessed with this guy, okay, just to be clear, what Hasan is talking about wouldn't get him banned. Like, there's no world where if like somebody were snuck onto his stream real fast and then he left because he's like, oh, I can't talk to this guy, obviously, because I can't talk to banned people. It's not like Hasan would get fucking nuked for that or banned. That's obviously not the case. So Hasan is just coping or lying super hard here about this. He's so cringe.
Destiny appears on Friday when we have this conversation, if Ethan is still willing and able to do it, I will get banned. He knows that, which is precisely the reason why I assume he will try to bring them forward, just as I called this initially, just as I called what was going to...
How is he giving himself credit for making a call about something that hasn't happened? What, little bro, what are you trying to get credit for? Hello?
Take place in this conversation initially. I'm telling you right now.
He's terrified, dude.
If he tries to, oh my God, Sam Seder me, what a fucking nightmare, with like a person that has been banned, I won't be able to have this conversation with him. I will have to exit out of this conversation because Twitch will absolutely ban me. I know for a fucking fact. Okay? So, no, I already have. I've already talked to my Twitch rep. I did.
No,
Shut the fuck up. I did already.
No,
I know. They
He's
said,
lying.
no, you
He's
will
lying.
get banned.
No, he's lying. He would get banned for like staying around and entertaining a full conversation, of course. But they wouldn't fucking nuke Hasan off of something like this. No, that's bullshit.
Do you understand? So, for that reason, if he tries some fuck shit like that, I assume this was a two-parter, okay? This was a two-parter. I suspect that he was initially going to try to get any clip that shows Sam Seder agreeing with him to be like, see,
oh my God,
you're
dude.
ordained designated Jew.
He's so afraid of just having a human fucking conversation. He's so fucking uneducated and so stupid. It's such a drama slop approach to serious political issues. He's such a loser.
Who agrees with me or something along those lines, and then be like, why do you call me pro-Israel? Okay, that's what he thought he was going to be able to get. It didn't happen. So now I assume his second smoking gun is to probably bring up like Destiny or Dan Saltman with the hopes that I get banned. Because if I don't back out of that conversation, I get banned. If I back out of that conversation when that happens, he will go, oh, you ran away from Destiny. You're so scared. You're just like Steven Crowder. And that's the problem. Okay, he is going to try to present it. I'm telling you right now, if he tries to do some shit like that, that means he doesn't want to have a real conversation with me on this issue. That he's going to try to pull some shtick because he knows that he can't have this real conversation with me.
Oh my God. Somebody said part 2?
They claim there's Every time they claim there's anti-Semitism in the community, they're always conflating it with and referencing anti-Zionism. I know.
He sounds fucking crazy. Yeah, he sounds like he's having like an
Hopefully
actual
typing in our chat
breakdown
again.
over me.
Wait, what do you mean?
I can talk now or Friday. I don't care. Up to you. Please don't try to bring a band. Bro, don't worry. I'm not doing that. You're afraid I'm going to bring on Destiny? That's stupid. I'm not going to do that.
Stop.
I promise you, Hassan.
It's not just Destiny. It's Dan Saltman as well. He's
In
also
fact, the
banned.
people here.
Why? I like how he's trying to bring up Dan like as a way to say that he's not petrified of just me. Like, do you think Dan is going to come on and debate you about Israel-Palestine? What? Because he's Jewish?
Here will not allow me to bring on Destiny.
And no Dan
Hassan, in
Saltman
being
either.
honest.
And it's not because
You know,
I'm
I'm gonna
afraid of
take
them.
that-
I can't. I will get banned. I need people to understand. This is.
I need you to understand. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid, guys. I will get fucking banned. They'll fucking. They told me. I talked to my rep. I talked to him. He said they'll ban me. I can't. They'll ban me. If it even happens for a microsecond, these are fucking. Like, bro, take a deep breath. You're okay.
Not. This is because I will get banned if he brings on Sam Hyde or Dan Saltman
Sam Hyde?
or Destiny. I will get banned instantly. Okay.
Instantly, they're looking at his stream, ready to push. It'll be a perma ban. Oh my god!
And I didn't even name Destiny in that. The reason why I said don't bring a banned person on was because I don't want him to.
Wait, did he say Destiny when he typed in his chat, or did he not?
Bring any banned person on and do some fuck shit
No,
to
he
try to
didn't.
get me
Okay.
banned. Okay.
What else? See what else I have open here. Somebody said Sam said he didn't know much about the Hasan Ethan drama.
Should we play this clip of
This is
Hasan,
4 months old.
because it's a little inspirational one.
Sure.
Inspirational.
We should, make it a little bit, and then we'll do a Russell Brand. We may have to replay the Hasan clip after that. Hasan went to Cambridge, not the one in Massachusetts, but the one over on the other side of the pond, as it were. He quoted Michael Brooks too. Maybe we should play. Let's play both these clips.
So brave.
Hasan is there.
I love that he did the professor look too. I mean, he knew what to wear for this kind of event. Like he's nearing a tweed jacket there. It's not quite tweed, but very professorial, Hasan.
Like it is amazing that they have sport coats like that you can actually get around. The guy's massive.
He's so big. Yeah, he's tall.
His arms. I can't believe it's loose around the arms.
Why don't you calm down over there?
And I stand before you following the footsteps of intellectual giants as nothing but a simple man who understands right from wrong. And sometimes that's all that matters. In the words of my friend, the late great Michael Jamal Brooks, there's nothing complicated about apartheid. The morality of it is clear. If the roles were reversed and a captive Jewish population of 5 million people were being systematically starved, sieged, and dominated, everyone would understand what's going on. Its ancestral lands being destroyed, everyone would understand what's going on. So in his words, it's not a complex issue. It's super simple. It's the most powerful country in the Middle East. It's backed by the United States, the most powerful country on the planet. And it acts on another population of people with total impunity and is never held accountable for anything. Well, I guess some things are changing in that regard, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But there's no symmetry in this relationship, period. That's what Michael Jamal Brooks said. So I see no need for obfuscation, no arguments for complexity, no reasoning for preemptive genocide. Israel is an apartheid state, and its inception was a...
That's so brave that he went and he repeated the verbatim pro-Pali talking points that everybody at this place is probably going to agree with. So brave.
violent one, with the forced displacement of 700,000, which gave birth to a settler colonial entity that continues to dominate the lie of more than 5 million Palestinians under its illegal occupation, totaling 15 million.
Also, yeah, I like how they have to cut after every fucking sentence because Lil Bro's speech is so fucked. Even though he literally has his phone in front of him, he couldn't even remember what the fuck he wanted to say.
Palestinians around the globe that are permanently displaced. Its demographic concerns is...
good for him, citing Brooks. Michael would have liked that. Many people have watched that clip of Michael Brooks saying that. And Hasan went on to basically with a message of hope, as it were. It is completely understandable that people are feeling a little bit exhausted already and demoralized. And but there's plenty of examples in just the U.S. history alone of times that were even more despairing than we should now. And in many ways, we have more mechanisms for people to influence outcomes of things like happen with our government. And so here's Hasan wrapping up in Cambridge.
time, people are distrustful of the news. Platforms like Twitter routinely surface the worst of the worst kinds of content, but the most divisive, most hateful content. But Elon Musk is not the only person responsible for this. And I hate Elon Musk, okay? I hate Elon Musk as much as you guys hate Oxford College. I heard that if I say that, I'll get some applause breaks there. So that was my exit rant. But it's not just Elon Musk, it's not just Twitter. It's happening all around. Young people, men in particular, who don't have much education or literacy skills with no hopeful prospects of the future are being propagandized by waves of right-wing influencers who have never had megaphones this loud. Although this issue most often gets brought up in the context of the 2024 election and Donald Trump, there's more to this. I think it's important to connect it to Palestine as well. These are forces who want to normalize the current levels of violence and to convince people that actually it's good to be this bloodthirsty. While it was Joe Biden who gave Israel the blank check with which to commit a genocide, that decision has created an entire galaxy of right-wingers who are actually in position to cash it. And cash it they are currently. If you've seen the Donald Trump cabinet picks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The traditional forces that could keep this kind of thing in check, particularly in politics and in media, are unfortunately weak, and they're getting weaker by the moment. They're out of power. They're broke. They're technologically weak. They don't understand the space. They don't understand the online content creation sphere. And I feel like they've, most importantly, with their coverage of Gaza, discredited themselves to an entire generation. It seems right now that those people who genuinely desire for a better future, who want an alternative to the genocide, will have to start looking amongst themselves, looking within themselves, their friends, and away from the mainstream if they want to help bring something like justice into the world. So I stand before you as a man who simply wants some semblance of justice for the Palestinians. I urge you not to lean into nihilism and succumb to helplessness, because you do not need the academic pedigree to know right from wrong. All you need is your moral compass. As someone who has seen the Palestine question evolve over my past 10 years of public advocacy, I never would have imagined international organs demand legal restitution from America's most valuable asset. After all, there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. Thank you.
Good for him.
That's great. That's great. Hasan is getting more coverage, more attention. Him being on PodSave, him going on with CNN and pissing off Bakari sellers. I didn't even watch that. I was like, this will put my blood pressure way too high. But I did see, of course, he's jumping on criticizing any kind of systemic critique of the Democratic Party, which seems like 80% of cable news hosts are on that track. He should be getting even more attention because he's doing great work. Great job, Hasan.
Yep. The biggest, the biggest left streamer, YouTuber, whatever you want to call it, in the world.
Definitely in like U.S. politics.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
But we may have a little antidote for that too.
What'd you say?
We may have a little antidote for that. What's this? Yeah, here we go. It's too bad Matt's not here. Matt was raised, did you know, by Russell Brand.
Look, like Matt, I was a big fan of Russell Brand. I read 2 of his books. I saw his stand-up in Atlantic City with my mom. My mom, he had the pictures of Jesus and Che Guevara on the stage and made some risky jokes about Christianity to the point where people in Atlantic City who I don't think knew what they were getting into when they went to his show, they were just there to gamble, walked out and were heckling him, and they were, older white people upset with how he was talking about Christians and Jesus Christ because he was subversive at that time. Guess not now, huh?
Well, listen, a lot of times you may run into a situation where you have been accused of what was he accused of?
Sexual assault. Yeah.
And
I thought it was for Russell Brand. Wasn't it full on rape at this point, or
into what you may be doing, and so a lot of times what people do is they'll run to get some type of redemption and find a new audience simultaneously, and thus I give you Russell Brand.
I've paid for sex before. I've slept with. I will not say I've slept with prostitutes because I would not denigrate those women with that term. I've prostituted them. I participated in sin. I objectified them. So keen to worship at false altars that I allowed myself and other people to be denigrated. I desecrated his code. The one word that hit me so hard in Corinthians when Paul says to them, "Did you not know that your body is a temple?"
Oh no.
It's the "did you not know" that gets me. Did you not know that your body is a temple? To go and tell you that it's sacred, that you are beautiful. You can't have known, otherwise you wouldn't live like that. You can't have known that you are loved, so loved that he would do that for you. He did that for us. Let's not carry on doing the stuff that you got nailed up there for. Did you not know that your body is a temple?
Look.
We forget sometimes, guys.
Russell Brand is bouncing around looking for he in some ways he had sort of a certain self-righteousness before, and now it's just the righteousness that he found in a different place that is going to be helpful. I don't know. People are saying he's acting, and I don't know.
It's not that simple. people can convince themselves of things when it's necessary. The idea that he's just saying that, oh, I prostituted them and I need to redeem myself. In 2006, when he was 30 years old, a now woman claims that he assaulted her when she was 16 years old and still in school.
Well, let's talk more about when I did the prostitution.
There were other allegations by a girlfriend at the time. In 2012, a woman alleged that Brand raped her against a wall at his Los Angeles home in July 2012 after she refused to join him in sexual activity with a friend. She told the Sunday Times that she went to a rape treatment center the same day and had therapy for 5 months. And the records that were given to the Sunday Times show that she did contemplate civil or criminal proceedings, but decided against it at the time. Tim Pool would say that if she had gotten pregnant from that rape, that she had failed her duties to society and needed that baby as to be born.
Well, I did say I've objectified women.
I know.
Right?
I'm redeemed.
So let's not get into the details of the whole thing.
I mean, there's more. There's more than the ones I just listed. But
did you not know? I mean, apparently you knew, and people reported me.
Right.
But let's just pretend no one knew. And now I get a get out of jail free card because I found jail, J, Jesus, J.
Jesus.
Both.
His body is a temple, but apparently not the women who he allegedly violated.
Okay, now I said I objectified them. I objectified them, so I'm okay now.
Okay. I thought there was more Ethan stuff in here. Brianna Wu, still on her crazy pro-Zionist arc. Don't know why. Just saw some Palestinian children try to stone a dog to death. Okay. We've got some Kanye West and Sneeko stuff going on. She's in Israel? Yeah, I know. She's been tweeting about it.
I definitely am more like Stag Vixen and shit. You guys know this term? Yeah. It's more like swap. It's kind of like, you like... Same. Yeah. People call us cucks and then cucks. I'll get cucked and shit just for to switch it up. But
for the rush,
Yeah, it's like
kind of rush.
Uh-oh.
Like be on the outside of the door and shit.
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't know they're streaming.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for Canada to come back.
Oh no.
He has all the timestamps and stuff.
Yeah,
we're gonna put it today.
And
he had the movie up, just watching it, but I think I gotta take time to really study and know exactly what's going on so I can replicate. Are we streaming or not?
Yeah.
We're streaming?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I wish I knew.
Oh, we're live?
Mm-hmm.
Turn it on.
The audio on or off?
No, the audio's off.
The audio's off all the time?
It's off.
Dude, people will hang out with streamers. I saw this happening when we went to it was like a Fresh and Fit, not like an after party, but after every show they would go out to eat. And there were some people that just had like their phones out. They were on like Instagram Live and shit, and people were chatting. It was like this, and I don't think a lot of people realize. There's some people that are just like streaming this, right? It's fucking weird. People just don't think about it, I guess. Jesus. Based. Quick Trump meme before we finish this.
In your speech in Macomb that we're facing. You mentioned this last night in your speech in Macomb that we're facing an unprecedented situation where there's a lot of abuses of nationwide injunctions, sort of seemingly designed to curtail your power, specifically when it comes to deporting these illegal, violent aliens that came in under the previous administration. Have you spoken to your team about ways to mitigate this and continue to deliver to the American people?
Well, there are ways to mitigate it, and there's some very strong ways. There's one way that's been used by 3 very highly respected presidents, but we hope we don't have to go that route. But
what are you guys fighting about in chat? I was looking for Destiny calling out Ben's retarded Zionist shit for Thorny List 17. I've probably called out his stuff before, but unfortunately, Ben Shapiro has a better read on the history than I think most of the pro-pallies do. The pro-pallies are just out in just fucking wild spaceland. But I've probably criticized Ben's takes before. I don't even know what Ben's feelings are on it, though. I don't think we watch Ben for Israel-Palestine shit, generally.
there is one way that has been used very successfully by 3 presidents, all highly respected, and hopefully we don't have to go that way. But there are ways of mitigating that. I want to thank you all very much.
You mentioned mentioned this last night in your speech in Macomb, but we're facing an unprecedented.
Who are the three?
There's a lot of
I think Lincoln did it. Who else suspended habeas corpus? Where you can just be arrested with no charges at all and just kind of held for a while? More Hasan slap.
When people need, especially in a time when people need good news, like good newspaper coverage, good journalism, more than ever, right? But a big part of what I do is to, one, go through the misinformation that is all around the internet and parse through it, and then try to explain to you what parts of these misinformation, what kind of
pro-Palestinians are retarded, but keep the same energy for the retarded Zionist takes. I'm pretty sure I have. When I hear crazy Zionists speak, I'm pretty sure I've said the same shit. I just don't encounter them as much.
Narratives are developing online, what kind of narratives are developing in the media, and to show you through real journalism and critical thinking what is actually going on, so you can develop a better you can develop a better framework, right? And this pisses off a lot of people. What? Who's your manager? I want to hire them. You're doing so well. None of this is because of my management. I don't have
All
like
organic,
a PR
baby.
person. This is entirely because people reach out, especially in a time when people need good news, like good newspaper coverage, good journalism, more than ever, right? But a big part of
what is this? Progressive News Show is view botting streamers again. Botes live stream is on 30K viewers. Caroline Kwan confirmed on Discord it was view botted and decided not to stream it. Will and Austin also stream it. Wait, what is this?
In first place we have Team Lana. Second place Team Botes. Third place Team Neff, and fourth place Team Quad. Now the real question here though is how does this impact your standing in the competition? Let's.
Wolneff was at 30K at 2 a.m. EST. It was bad. Okay.
See the total.
They were view botting. Okay. Or somebody view botted them or whatever.